Alright. What's up, everybody, and welcome back. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you my new passion, a game that I am hopelessly addicted to, a pure strategy game by the name of Mechabellum. Now, some of you may have heard of this game and heard, oh, it's an auto battler, cool, not really interested, I'm more of a real-time strategy guy. And this is why I am doing this video, because basically every hardcore RTS player I know who doesn't really like auto battlers loves this game, and anyone who tries it has become addicted to it. We can see literally vibes there playing right now on my friends list. This game's only been out for a month and a half. I've played 157 hours, and it is such a fun, pure strategy game. So today, we're gonna cast a replay, and we're gonna talk you through why this game is so bloody fun, and why I heavily recommend it for anybody to try out. Alright guys, so we're going to go straight into one of my ladder games here. This is a replay. We're going to be casting this. So first things first, when you play Mechabellum, it's an auto battler. The first thing you do is you pick your specialist, which is basically your starting couple of units over here. You can see we've got different choices. That's my opponent's selections at the top, mine at the bottom. We can pick Fortified, which gives us a 17% bonus hit point boost, and you start with these units. My opponent's going Supply Specialist. He's going to get plus 50 supplies a turn and starts with Steel Balls, which are a really cool unit. We'll explain in a bit, and Arc Lights. And I think I end up going, do I go Marksman? I think I go Marksman this game. And you can see I'll start with Sledgehammers and Marksman. So let's talk through how this game works and actually explain what's so fun. So this is me on the bottom side. This is my opponent on the top. Now, the way it works, right, is my opponent's bonus, we can hover over here, they get 50 extra supplies per round. You can see our supplies here. You start with 200 in the first round, he gets 250, you can see. So then the next round, you get like 400, he'll get 450. And you can put 2 units down per turn. You can see right now, the units we can select from are just these 2 starting units that came with that specialist choice. But you can unlock 1 new unit per turn to add to your selection. So as you go on, you can start unlocking more and more expensive units. You can, throw down all these different units, and there's all these different abilities I'll try to explain as we go. So first things first, let's talk about what is going on. My opponent is going for a really aggressive setup. They're putting almost all their units forward, and they're using one of these top-down sentry missiles on the front. So let's just talk about this. My opponent's gone Steel Balls, a really fast unit that charges forward, and they have to get very close, but they charge up damage over time. So they're very bad at dealing with small targets, as his missile clears my entire squad of sledgehammers and destroys me. You're gonna see they're amazing at blasting down big guys. So right now they're shooting just my little crawlers, and they're not achieving very much at all. But once they get in on top of the tower, you're gonna see how the tower works. When you kill your opponent's towers, it gives a 10-second debuff where their units move at about 10% of the speed, they take more damage, they do only 10% damage, and it is just an absolutely brutal debuff. So you can see by taking that tower out early, and also by putting all of his units on the right side, my opponent has just absolutely wrecked me in this first turn. But that's not the end of the world, because this game works in rounds. And losing 1 round, you only take as much damage on this life at the very top of the screen as the value of your opponent's units that are remaining. So based on the supplies that are remaining, our opponent's going to do that much damage. And it's about 200 supplies for 4 Steel Balls. So there's going to be 200 damage, 250, and each arc light costs 100. So he's going to do like 450 damage. You can see that gets done to me. And we lose the first round. And this is what I expected, because I knew there was a good chance he was going to be aggressive. And now we go into the next turn where we get to pick cards. Every turn, you and your opponent pick from the same cards. You can skip to get plus 50 supplies like my opponent did, or you can take one of these bonuses. Things like you can go straight to grabbing level 3 units. You can get improved fortresses, this big giant. You have to pay more for them, but they're going to be even more hard carry units as the game goes on. Now, because of my specialist being a marksman spec, I get 1 free rank 3 marksman on round 2. So I get this amazing marksman here who's going to do 7,000 damage a shot, long range sniper, really bad at killing little guys, but he's going to be great at killing these steel balls. He'll one-shot them, as well as other things. Now you can see I've gone for arc lights. So let's just talk about my setup, guys. We've got crawlers, these little guys here. These guys are amazing. They're just a little, basically think of them like a zergling. And we call small units in this game chaff, which basically is saying, hey, these guys' job is to just absorb your opponent's attacks, get in the way, obstruct them, and really kind of cost efficiently slow them down. Now, we've also added arc lights. These guys are an amazing early game chaff clear unit. So a splash damage unit is a word you might be more familiar with from other RTS and other strategy games. Their job is going to be to clear all these little guys, so my snipers, my marksmen, can actually track onto the bigger targets. So you can see his crawlers and my crawlers are both kind of getting destroyed by these arc lights, these splash damage units. And then his steel balls, if they can track onto things like, see, they all tracked onto one sledgehammer, one of these kind of medium tanky tanks, they're going to get obliterated. Look at the way the damage charges up from the steel balls. But my Arclights are starting to get through his crawlers. I've got other crawlers coming in from the other side. My marksmen are now tracking onto his steel balls. You can see it's very close. It does look like he's going to get through. But remember, I didn't know which side he was going to attack on. So my guys just killed that tower, debuffing all of his forces at a crucial moment. So he loses all that damage output. His units are slower. The debuff's now gone, but he's already lost almost all of his guys. That level 3 marksman barely survives. We just barely defend our tower. And this is really bad for my opponent because my opponent was playing very aggressive with this forward position. The fact that they've already lost a round and now they're very exposed, they need to keep kind of doubling down, or they need to start selling units and backing out of it. Now, once again, we pick from the same cards. And the reason this is such an interesting technique, my opponent skipped, I got efficient tech research, which is going to give me cheaper upgrades on my units. We'll talk about upgrades in a moment. But the reason this is so fascinating is you can predict what the other person is going to do. So there's a lot of mind games in this because it's random what those cards are that pop up each turn. You think, oh, super random. Yes, it is. But you can predict. You can say, oh, well, this is really good against me. My opponent's going to take that. But this other card counters that card. And I'm going to do that instead. And then you can get mind games within mind games. And this happens every single round. And this is part of the beauty of Mechabellum that you really appreciate the more you play. When you start, it's just, ooh, I get fun units to pick from, which is enjoyable as a noob. But when you get high level, it becomes very, very deep. Now, I've actually purchased oil, which I'm putting down here. That's going to slow units by 55% across it. Lasts for 2 rounds. Can be blocked by a shield if it's in his territory, and I could set it on fire. If I set it on fire, it does not last 2 rounds, but it will burn all the enemy units moving through it. And I'm doing this because he's kind of charging at me with these steel balls, these crawlers, these melee units, these short-range units. And where did I get that oil from? I paid for it off the tower. That cost me 100, I believe, or 150, I think it is. And I can use this. It has a 3-round cooldown. So after I use it, I gotta wait 3 more rounds before I can use it again. It is one of the most powerful defensive abilities in the game, though. So you're gonna see he's gonna be really unhappy here. We're gonna drop this oil and watch his whole army. So he used another missile at the front, but my crawlers tanked it this time. And look at that. Oil smear, and that's absolutely wrecking him. Now, you're gonna also notice he's upgraded these steel balls. You see how some of his units are turning blue? They got enough experience where he leveled them up. And let's talk about leveling up a little bit. So leveling up, I haven't leveled up any of my units yet, didn't get enough experience. When you level up a unit, it gets double the stats of a normal one. You can see this Arclight on the right side over here, 5,000 life. This guy, 10,000 life. Literally double the damage, 347 to 694. So you get basically the stats of a tier 1 unit added on top, but for only half the cost. So an Arclight costs 100. Upgrading it to level 2 costs only 50. So you get amazing value for upgrading your units, but they need to get enough experience to actually upgrade. You can see all these yellow arrows. My units are now upgradable. And check it out, guys. Unit cards. Really exciting. My opponents picked Wasps, a light flying kind of squad of units. Think of these kind of like Mutalisks or something like that. But I've picked the Farseer, which is a splash damage ranged kind of unit. Shoots rockets. It actually counters the Wasps really well. And I've even bought a second one to put on the left side because I figured, look, there's a good chance he's going to dive on one of these towers with his Wasps, and he's going to try to get in there. So we're going to go for these Farseers, these rocket trucks, just a generally good support unit, but it counters that pretty damn well. And he's actually just put his Wasps over here. So that was an example of me specifically trying to pick a card that counters his card. Now, let's talk about upgrades, guys, because he's just made his first upgrade. You can actually customize the upgrades which are here, which is what I need to move my camera. All right, I'm going to move my camera over here, guys. Let's get over here into the corner. Okay, so the armor. He's upgraded armor. On these steel balls, it increases the hit points by 35% and blocks 60 damage when attacked. The damage blocking effect increases with the rank. So because these are level 2 steel balls, they're going to block 120 damage per attack. Now, if you think about it, my crawlers, they do 88 damage. They're going to do no damage to those steel balls. So it's anytime you've got a lot of small guys, these Fangs, which is another early game kind of chaff unit, they do 68 damage a shot. Minus 120, they're doing no damage. So these steel balls are basically immune to small target fire now, but it's not really going to do too much versus things like marksmen that do 5,000 damage a shot or 7,000 damage a shot. You know, the Farseer is doing, I think, 2 times 1,200, 1,300 damage. Doesn't really affect that much. Now notice he keeps putting this missile down, and let's talk about that move really quickly, because he keeps getting a kill with it, which seems nice. That costs him 50 supplies. He has to keep putting that. He's paying 50 supplies every round to put that down. Whereas if I put that one squad of crawlers down for 100 cost, it's already absorbed 3 missiles. I'm getting mad positive trades out of that, which is why it's a big tempo play. And this oil is ruining him. So a really clever play my opponent could have done is he actually could have paid for a movement ability called Mobile Beacon and told all of his units to pull back or move around and actually, you know, avoid going through the oil and force my guys to actually step into the oil themselves. But because my opponent's kind of just trying to YOLO through this oil, that oil has really ruined him these last 2 turns. And you can see we've kind of wrecked him pretty damn hard. He's taking a ton of damage. That being said, because I'm so focused on defending, I'm focused on a lot of early game units. Once again, we've got 4 cards. Now, really interesting choices, guys. You've got an item that gives range to a unit, which is massive. Range is huge. I believe I picked the EMP Blast, though. This is very expensive. 200 supplies. It's got a massive 4-round cooldown. But because he's playing so aggressive, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this giant EMP down. It's going to drop about 2, 3, 4 seconds into the round, and it's going to slow everything it hits by 40%. And disable any tech. So the shields on these steel balls will just not be effective. It just, the health bonus, the damage reduction is just gone for that next 25 seconds. All these fast units are going to be slowed. So my oil's disappeared now, but we're actually going to land EMP, and that's going to slow him even more. So this feels really, really good for me. And you can see we've added a lot more fangs. These are a slower chaff unit. So while the crawlers, these zergling type units are very fun and they YOLO in, the fangs are a slower unit. So they're going to just kind of have guys that slowly get to the front and get in front of my more valuable units and just absorb a bit of fire. We've also upgraded range on my arc lights, giving them plus 40 range. You can see they've got 133 meter range. So you can see their range, they're going to just be a bit better at gunning down all of his stuff from far away and trying to clear all these little guys. Now, here's our first example of my opponent going for Mobile Beacon. He paid for Mobile Beacon, guys. He can use this every turn to guide units in a certain direction. Normally, you place your units, they just auto-battle, they go, and you kind of figure things out. But in this case, he's saying, guys, go in that straight line. Only if something's right in front of them will they fight it. Otherwise, they're going to try to dive on the tower. And notice I don't have any little guys that are going to get in the way of this. So he should be able to get in, one-shot the tower, get the debuff, and get a massive momentum advantage. This is a really good play from my opponent. He's also gone for a missile on the left side there. So he's going to try and take out this tower, but I think we're barely going to defend that left side with my fast here that I put down there, these crawlers coming in. But on this side, you can see the Rhino. He's trying to get through. My shield that I had down is gone. The Rhino does get gunned down. So luckily for me, I managed to defend it. And now you can see my crawlers and these fangs coming through from behind. This back layer of chaff is really helping out. His steel balls, the EMP on all of his steel balls and everything was huge there. I think if I didn't have the EMP on everything slowing his army down, he would have collapsed on this tower and wrecked me. But that was only that turn. Now notice he's also got an anti-missile device. He put that down to intercept the missiles from my Stormcallers. Any unit that shoots like rocket or missile types attacks can be intercepted by various items and abilities in this game. I think you're already probably a little bit overwhelmed at this point. You're thinking, what the hell? How much stuff is there? This is the joy of this game. You have 90 seconds to do what you want to do each round, as my opponent picks Typhoons, and I'm going to pick Wraiths, I believe, or maybe Vulcans. You have 90 seconds. Pro gamers like Karabi who are addicted to this game like me, a lot of us are pro RTS players, we always run out of time. We very rarely feel like we have enough time. And that's what's great, because this is not a high APM game, but it's a high brain power game. It's a game where like you can see how long I'm taking to choose my card here. I'm going, oh, which one should I pick? And I'm tabbing out, I'm looking at his board and I'm thinking about this. By the way, when I'm playing this, I can't see that he's put these Typhoons down. I've got to guess what card he's done. So if you're playing first person view, you can see what they've done last turn, but you can't see what they're doing this turn until the round starts. Obviously, just in case anyone was watching going, can't you just wait for them to do their thing and then counter it? No, that's not how it works. No, notice that Rhino that he used to charge the right side, and I'm going to put some units in the way to block it. He's now charging the left side. So he's using this Mobile Beacon with this aggressive play to try and dive my left tower, which is really powerful. Yeah, I hope you guys are starting to see, though, just the realm of different possibilities. You can also, on your towers, you can pay for damage upgrade, plus I've already paid for one of those. There's 2 damage and 2 hit point upgrades. There's also, you can buy temporary range or speed boost just for that turn. Once again, short-term investment, whereas these these ones are permanent on the right tower. The left tower are all temporary boosts. Like, you can pay to recruit an extra squad, so you get to recruit 3 squads in the turn rather than 2. You can see I've just brought in some extra marksmen and stuff, but unless they track onto that Rhino, we're in big trouble. So you can see, like here, look at this. He's diving this tower, guys, and my marksmen are finally tracking onto him, but we need to get him before he gets this tower. This is a big level 2 Rhino. It's a big hand-to-hand, guys. And if he gets just one hit on the tower, my whole army's screwed. So that's a beautiful play. And now my guys are all debuffed. He's diving the right side. And you can see here, we're getting absolutely wrecked. So even though I put fire down this turn, which, by the way, actually, I should show you guys what we just did with the fire there. I could, well, we'll show you on the next turn. There's too much going on anyway. Basically, I got 2 big fire guys, and they have an awesome ability they just used. They'll be using that every turn from now on, so you'll get to see it in the next round. So he wrecks me. My opponent was so close to dead, guys, down to 288 life, but he just got a lot of damage, and suddenly now I'm in trouble. If I don't win this round, there's a decent chance I will actually lose, and my opponent will bring this back. Now, once again, we're picking different things here. We can get the Amplifying Core, plus 50% hit points, 50% damage, and we've both picked that. You put that on one of your strong units up front. He put it on this level 2 Typhoons, which are basically this Gatling gun mech, really good for clearing little guys. They shoot up, they shoot down, and he's upgraded the barrier ability. Like I said, you can pick different abilities, different loadouts of these upgrades outside of the game before the game starts, so you can customize what upgrades you have available. So a lot of the game as you get to high level is also clicking their units and going, ooh, which upgrades does he have available? And it can kind of give you an idea of what the options are. So this barrier is going to stop any abilities. Like I'm putting this oil down right in front of him. But problem, these Typhoons, if I don't break the barriers quickly enough with my shots, he's actually gonna, like, the oil won't drop where the shield is. So these guys might actually block part of this oil that I'm trying to drop down. We've also got the incendiary bombs. So these Vulcans, these big flamethrower mechs that look like Thors from StarCraft, right? These guys are gonna throw missiles out at their targets every 16 seconds. And they can be intercepted, but because they throw so many at once, it's very hard to stop. So they're gonna spread fire across, and all of his little guys that walk through it might end up getting wrecked. Notice he just called down another one of these sentry missiles that does 5,000 damage here, but because we've got a shield there, it shouldn't do much. It'll only damage stuff outside of the shield. He's also diving the left side of this tower now, and once again with another sentry missile, which I forgot to put some chaff in front, and that's a really big mistake for me, guys, because I think I'm well set up on the right side, but on the left side, if I let him kill this tower, that's going to ruin me. I put the sledgehammers here to try and block him, but look, his steel balls on that left side are going to get that tower. Now watch the incendiary missiles. So you can see the ones that hit the shield don't get through, but the ones in front and on the oil is going to burn. All of his little guys go through the fire and get absolutely wrecked. But he's got a lot of wasps overhead. His steel balls are super tanky as well. He's got level 3 steel balls, and these ones on the left took out my tower. And suddenly we are in so very much trouble after what was such a good start, and I almost won this game. And my opponent has just turned it around with good aggression across multiple fronts. They've also been putting units in my corners, which are distracting guys. I should probably be talking about that as well. And I think you're getting a sense for just the absolute sheer amount of things you need to take into account when you're playing this game. Because, you know, there's unit counters, but then there's upgrades that completely change the dynamics. You know, if you go a certain upgrade, your unit that was countered by their unit might actually end up countering their unit, and so on and so forth. And you can see here, man, look at all of his units that are left over. I am almost dead. And at this point, I'm like, dude, I can't believe I've thrown this game. This is kind of embarrassing. What the hell do I do? And looking at these cards, I'm like, what can get me out of trouble here? Sandworm's a big, tanky, awesome unit that goes underground and pops out and wrecks stuff. He's going to take that. And I'm realizing, like, right now, I need something to defend these Typhoons. And because the Typhoons shoot crazy fast, but low damage, I'm realizing, wait a second, I can actually take that Wraith card, get 2 level 2 Wraiths. I can put that armor upgrade on them I was talking about. Remember, so they're going to block 120 damage and attack. These Typhoons only do 98 damage. Now, this one on the left does 285 because they've got this damage item and they're leveled up. But these two on the right aren't going to do any damage. The Wasps aren't going to do much damage. These Mustangs are like a little friggin' machine gun motorbike car. So I actually go full Wraiths, these kind of floating guys. They're good for doing splash damage, blowing up lots of little guys. And if I put them in my front line, they could tank a lot of the Typhoon fire, and then my little guys aren't just going to get instantly cleansed. Because if my little guys get cleansed too quickly, then the steel balls track onto my big guys, my Vulcans. They charge up their attacks over time, we get wrecked. So there's a lot of like on-the-fly problem solving mixed in with like what cards you get. I put one on the left side as well, realizing, hey, he's got no anti-air there. If I put a Wraith there, it should counter whatever he puts down, and hopefully we can defend. Notice he's put crawlers on the flank as well, guys, and that's going to distract some of my units. He's done it down here as well. He's put 2 crawler squads, cheap units. He's also now putting a worm on the flank. When you flank, your unit takes, I think it's 10 seconds to warp in. During that time, it's only got half life, right? You can see it's dying really quickly, but it kind of builds its life over time, and after the first round, when you put it on the flank, it will warp in instantly from then on. So the first round's a big gamble, but after that, it can really pay off. Now you can see my Wraiths here taking very little damage, His level 3 wasps are finally getting through, but these wraiths up front are both clearing his chaff and doing a really good job of turtling. I'm barely holding on here. The incendiary's going out and burning his guys as he moves through as well. But my tower's really exposed, and if I lose that tower, we're going to get the big debuff. We don't have anything left in front of it. He's attacking it now. That sandworm is just not dying as well. It's a level 3 sandworm, which he paid for armor for this as well. And I lose my tower, and I'm like, oh no. But then I realize I won the left side. I've still got a wraith there. Remember, whoever wins this round wins the game, like hands down. We've got a few units left. He's got a few units as well. He put anti-missile devices down. Those are single turn uses if they get killed. But they were blocking all of my rockets, my marksmen. These snipers should never be fighting in hand-to-hand combat. They're getting absolutely wrecked. But we do get a nicely timed tower debuff. And he has nothing that shoots up except the Typhoon. So if my Wraith can kill the Typhoons, then maybe we can do this. His sandworm's coming through. It's going to pop out of the ground and kill this marksman. Let's see if we can get some more shots off before it dies. It gets a shot off, and it does get wrecked. Just gets destroyed, one shot by the sandworm. We're killing his anti-missiles. Doesn't really matter too much, but it does allow our Farseer to not get interrupted. So we take out his tower. He's going to take out my tower, which, by the way, I did upgrade my tower to have way more life, and it also reduces the paralyzation debuff by 2 seconds each time you upgrade. So you can upgrade your bases to limit how powerful it is for your opponent to just snipe your towers. Now, when that debuff wears off, we should kill that Typhoon. Problem is, are we going to get one shot? I think our Farseer gets one shot here. It gets one shot off, and then it gets one shot. And check this out. The time is almost up. My Wraith can't actually kill the Sandworm in time, but the Sandworm can't attack up. The final round comes down to a Wraith and a Sandworm, both with armor. Sandworm will not die, neither will the Wraith. He technically does more damage this round, but I had a tiny bit more life. And my opponent goes to minus 12 life. And I survive on 46 at the very end of this incredibly close game, spanning many different units. Me playing a more defensive, somewhat standard style. My opponent playing hyper-aggressive, using so many different units, upgrades, abilities, feeling like there is about 1,000 decisions to be made. And I'll tell you what, I've actually made it to the top 300, 350 players at my peak. I'm probably like rank 500, 600 now. I am playing so bad compared to the top players. I am making so many suboptimal choices, but I feel like it's so creative. There's a lot of expression in terms of how you want to play. There's so much you can do with like those mobile beacons where you try to dive the towers. If you watch like some of the top YouTubers, there's a guy called Surrey, or Rat, the Rat as he's called, who's basically Mechabellum Cyril. He's 100, I'm pretty sure he's Finnish. He has like the most Cyril accent you've ever heard. And he just does some of the most creative, fun, aggressive plays ever. This game is friggin' awesome. All right, guys, so after showing you gameplay, let's talk about a few of the other features that make me love this game. One of the big things is these menus are fugly. Let's be honest, guys, I don't know if they have a full UI designer. There's a lot going on. When you log into the game, there's a lot of different things on the screen. And honestly, it brings me old game vibes if this was made by a small team of people where it might not be as polished on the things that don't matter, but the things that do matter have clearly been made with love. And what I mean by that is, check this out. You can actually, in the multiplayer tab, just download replays from all the top players from the tournaments, the recent tournaments that have been held in client. That's right, guys. If we go over to the tournament tab, there are 2 main tournaments each week. There's a midweek small tournament and a weekender one. They're both Swiss format, which you guys know that follow my channel closely. I'm a massive fan of Swiss being the best way to promote community. There's a reason why chess has been doing this forever, as Swiss being probably the most popular format. It allows players, you don't just lose a match and get eliminated. It is a format where you all play the same number of rounds or a similar number of rounds, and it starts to shuffle the better players versus the better players, the worst versus the worst ones. So everyone ends up getting a mixture of matches that are versus people worse than them. Kind of fun sometimes to beat people up, people that are much better than them. It's good to get the experience, and of course a lot of evenly matched matches, which are the funnest in any sort of tournament format. Not only that, you've also got, it does shuffle into beginner, intermediate, and advanced divisions. The weekend one is a bigger tournament that goes for longer. The midweek one's a bit shorter, and there's a version of those across all 3 time zones, which it very neatly translates here in game, in the menu, and you can just rock up 15 minutes before the tournament, you click register, and it is so much fun. When you're waiting for the next round, you can observe everyone else playing. It's such a nice system. Now, not only that, we've also got really nice monetization in this game. There's a season pass. Guess what? I normally forget to click on this. I just went and clicked through and claimed all these different things. I don't know what the season points are for. I have no idea. I guess that's a decal or a skin. Okay, it's a skin. I guess I got a skin reward on my sandwich. Don't care. Haven't put a single skin on. Haven't used the currency at all. When you go to the unit modification, there's like an antiquated currency. If we click on like the Arclight, for instance, you can see there's different upgrades you can modify for each unit. There we go, as that loads. but like I've unlocked them all using these tech points, which you unlock so rapidly. I've never not had enough tech points to unlock every single ability in the game. So there's literally, the monetization is so friendly. If you want to go to the store, a tab I've literally never opened, this is the first time ever, they have a few skins for sale, different cosmetics, some weird prediction game. I don't know how that game works. I don't know what this is for. I think it's just a fun currency because when you're observing your friends, you can bet on it. And then I don't know what you can redeem it for, or if there's even a reason for it. I think it's just it's kind of like gambling on Twitch. It's just fun to watch your friends and bet on who will win. And then there's like other different season bonuses as well. But this is all cosmetic stuff. Honestly, like I said, never open this tab up at all. Now, if we go back to the unit modification, you'll notice the stats are pretty detailed. The only problem with the stats is if we look at a unit like the Overlord actually says 3,700 attack. It has 4 attacks. So keep in mind, if you see a unit having multiple attacks, you do need to multiply it by that amount. Other than that, though, everything's very exact. It tells you the exact numbers, tells you what the units do. While some of the tooltips or descriptions might be a little bit off, like it does say the Scorpion's a heavy anti-swarm robot. Not really. Scorpion's more for killing big targets and medium targets especially. It has good splash range, but it shoots so slowly it's kind of terrible versus swarmy units and chaff units. Besides the occasional tooltip that's slightly off, it gives you all the information you need. And more importantly, if you go solo testing grounds, you can just hop in and create any units you want and test every single detail in the game so easily. So just to show you guys an example, all you do, test the testing grounds over here, and we go, okay, let's test melting points. This is like an Omega Void Ray, kind of like the steel balls. It charges up over time, but it's a giant. And then we can like swap to the other player's side. We can go, well, what count is that? Let's make some crawlers. These guys are only really basic, but you know what? We'll make those, and we can just, oh, let's watch this fight. You can also pick any specialist, any skills, different, skills you can get from cards, equipment you could get from cards. You could be like, oh, let's put heavy armor on these guys or whatever. You could just basically play around with it. Now, last but not least, guys, when you do decide to test anything, whether in testing grounds or in the actual game, you can go for the first-person view perspective. That's right. If you want to absolutely watch from the point of view of a little drilly boy as he charges into the melting point, nothing scarier than having your health bar pop up above your head, by the way. You can basically view this from the point of view of your units. And why is this in the game? Is this important strategically? No. Is it important to really do this in game? No. Are you gaining a lot of information about how the battle's going? Definitely not. But it's frigging funny. And that's why I think the devs put it in there. I just think this is hilarious. Like, it's kind of dumb and stupid, but I will occasionally on stream actually watch the game this way, and it's just frigging fun. And that's what I really like about how this game has been developed. You can tell the devs have just put a lot of fun into this game, and they're just enjoying themselves and having a good time. And for me personally, I don't know, man. I just like this game. I've played so much of it. If you guys like it as well, or are interested in it or other games that I suddenly get addicted to, let me know if you're okay with videos like this on the channel where I just kind of share my thoughts on, hey, I'm addicted to this game. This is why you should play it. It is only 15 USD. It has a very good monetization system where basically you can just buy cosmetics extra if you want. It's 15 USD for the whole game. I've also heard there's new units being released in periodic patches, so there might be some new units coming out, I think in a few days' time. Either way, you guys let me know if you want to see more videos like this about games that I'm enjoying, or if maybe you're excited enough by Mechabellum to actually be interested in me perhaps making more content. Do you guys want me to cast some games of this? Because I've been enjoying playing it, casting a little bit on my stream as well. If you'd like to see casts or guides or just some of my own gameplay, let me know in the comment section, and let me know if you want to see other games that I'm addicted to, me breaking them down and giving you my recommendations, because I heavily recommend you all trying out Mechabellum. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you in the next one. Goodbye and good night.